I've been in civil engineering for well over 27 years now, and I even spent a few of those years teaching Civil 3D. And in all that time, I've seen one thing, one skill that really separates the good designers from the ones who are just absolutely indispensable. And that skill is mastering corridor modeling. Seriously, this isn't just about learning another tool in the software, it's about building a solid blueprint for your entire career. So let's jump right in. All right, first things first. When I say civil 3D corridors, what's the first thing that pops into your head? A road, right? A highway, maybe a local street? And look, you're not wrong, but that's only scratching the surface. It's kind of like saying a smartphone is just for making calls. The real power, the genius of this tool goes so much further than that. So why should you care? Well, it's pretty simple. Jobs. And not just any jobs, high-paying ones. This isn't some academic exercise. These are real stats from recent job postings right out of Ohio. I want you to look at these salaries. We're talking $80,000, $135,000 and up. And get this, a lot of these positions welcome EIT candidates. You don't even need your PE license yet. The one thing they all ask for? Civil 3D proficiency. And when they say that, trust me, they mean you need to know your way around corridors. Okay, so if it's not just for roadways, what is it for? Well, we're about to dive into the unseen power of corridor modeling. We're talking about a tool that can solve some of the absolute trickiest, most head-scratching grading problems you will ever come across on a site design. And the list of what you can do is just huge. I mean, we're talking about modeling complex tiered retaining walls, drainage benches with super precise grades, entire parking lots, even sprawling residential lots. I've personally used corridors to grade everything from massive retention ponds and levees to, get this, pickleball courts. Yeah, seriously. If it has any kind of repeating, linear shape, a corridor is almost always the best way to model it. Now, to really get why this is such a big deal, you have to understand the world before corridors. You have to feel the pain we used to go through. Let's take a little trip back in time and see how we did things the old way versus the new, dynamic way. Oh man. I remember the feature line grading days like it was yesterday. And let me tell you, it was just pure agony. You would spend hours, sometimes literally days, manually clicking and elevating every single break line on a site. And the absolute worst part? The architect calls and says, hey, we need to shift the building pad 6 inches to the north. Ugh, that tiny change meant you had to basically redo everything from scratch. It was static, it was tedious, and it was just begging for errors. Corridors, on the other hand, they're the polar opposite. They're dynamic, they're automated, and they're smart. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at this. The difference is just night and day. On the left, that's the old way, a chaotic mess of manual feature lines. On the right, that's the same area, but built with a clean, precise corridor model. So that 6-inch building shift I was just complaining about, with a corridor, that's not a 2-day nightmare anymore. It's a 5-minute fix. You make the change, and the whole model just updates itself, instantly. All right, so how do we tap into this amazing power? It all starts with understanding the basic building blocks. And I know, it can look a little intimidating at first, but I promise you, it breaks down into some really simple, logical pieces. Back when I was teaching Civil 3D, this was the very first thing I'd write on the board. Day 1, Rule 1, know thy subassemblies. It's the absolute non-negotiable foundation for everything we're about to do. Think of a subassembly as just one single piece of your design. You know, a curb, a sidewalk, a lane, a ditch. You wouldn't try to build a house without knowing what a hammer or saw does, right? Same exact principle here. You've got to know the tools in your toolbox. And what's the best way to learn your tools? You're gonna laugh, but it's the help file. I know, nobody wants to read the manual, but trust me on this one. It's your best friend. Every single subassembly is broken down in there. What it does, what information it needs from you, and how it's going to behave. Taking the time to understand these pieces before you start dragging and dropping is probably the single most important thing you can do to be successful with corridors. Okay, so once you know what your individual pieces do, you start putting them together, and that's called an assembly. This is where the real magic starts to happen. Your assembly is basically the logic engine for your model. It's the brain. It's a snapshot of your typical cross-section, and it's where you tell Civil 3D exactly how to build your design by giving it a set of rules and targets to follow. Let me show you a great example. This is one of my all-time favorite subassemblies. It looks simple, right? But this one little piece solves a massive problem. You can literally just tell it, hey, build me a 2-to-1 slope, and just keep going until you hit an elevation of, say, 520.5. And boom, it does all the trigonometry, all the complex math for you. Instantly. It's incredible. So you take that really powerful piece, you combine it with a few others, and you get a complete assembly like this one, a slope with a drainage bench. Now your logic engine is even smarter. It knows how to build the main slope, figure out exactly where that bench needs to go, and then daylight or tie back in to the existing ground. All of it, completely on its own. This is how you start building real intelligence directly into your model. Okay, so we've made the huge leap from painful manual work to smart, dynamic models. That's fantastic. But what's the next level? I'm talking about true automation. This is where we stop being model builders and we start becoming model programmers. And the key to that revolution is a tool called Dynamo. And if you thought corridors were cool, this is where things get absolutely mind-blowing. In a recent update, Autodesk dropped more than 1,100. Let me say that again. Over 1,120 new nodes into Dynamo just for Civil 3D. Our ability to automate design tasks didn't just get a little better, it exploded. So what does that actually mean for you? It means you're not stuck building one quarter at a time anymore. Now you can write one simple script that can generate an entire complex quarter model, or even several of them completely from scratch. It's a total game changer for how we think about efficiency. And look, before you get scared off by the word scripting, it's way more accessible than you think. You're not writing lines of code here. It's a visual script. You're basically just connecting boxes to define the logic. You tell it which alignments and profiles to use, and then you just hit run and Dynamo does the heavy lifting, building the complex corridor for you. But the real superpower here? Iteration. Being able to test new design options. You can now explore dozens of possibilities in the time it used to take you to build just one. All right, let's bring this full circle. We've talked a lot about the tech, but let's get back to what we started with, your career blueprint. What is all this, knowing corridors, understanding automation? What does it actually mean for your job, for your growth, and yeah, for your wallet? Let's look at those numbers from Ohio again. See that staff engineer role? That's often someone with their EIT, not even a full PE license yet, and they can be pulling in a salary well into the 6 figures. You have to ask, why? It's because they bring these advanced Civil 3D skills to the table. They can build these complex, intelligent models that save companies time and money. Your technical skill has real, direct, and tangible value in the marketplace. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's this. Quarter skill is what makes you stand out from the crowd. It's a high-demand differentiator. It's what gets you on the more complex, more interesting, higher-value projects. It puts you squarely on the path to a leadership role and, you guessed it, higher earnings. And when you layer on automation with Dynamo, you're not just ready for today's job market, you're future-proofing your entire career. Look, the tools we use are evolving at a breakneck speed. This isn't just about knowing which buttons to push anymore. The real question is, are you going to evolve with them? It's about making that leap from being a software operator to becoming a tech-empowered design strategist, someone who uses these incredible tools to solve problems in ways we never could before. The tools are here, they are ready. The only question left is, are you?